Hello guys, this is Frosty. So welcome to the channel. So before I tell you the topic of today and blah 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 blah, like, sub, finish the video, then comment so that we can actually have a discussion. Now, this video that I'm gonna be talking about is very simple and it's all about gender double standards. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play some of it, we discuss, and then I've got a few points that I've written down that we're going to discuss at the end. So let's move on. Let me just increase the speed because I don't like the way these guys talk. It's so slow. In terms of timing with the video, I don't want the video to be too long. So yeah, the video is all about gender double standards, and now let's listen to what she has to say about the gender double standards.
Back, it's Moments Girls Talk, and the topic is the gender double standard. Are women more targeted by double standards than men? Our guest with us is Ekwedewo. So that is the question, right? When it comes to double standards, and we'll kind of continue where we're talking about at the beginning, we'll start with the body count. Do you feel like men can have a body count of 10, 15, and people won't necessarily judge them to the place where if a woman has a body count of more than a double digit, she's considered and labeled?
What are you doing with more than a double digit as a human being, though? Triple digits?
No, when I say sorry, more than 10. I mean more than 10.
Oh,
But girl!
All right, let's be honest. Nah. Let's be honest. You're lying. Girls easily go above the double digit item. They just don't tell you. That's why there's a phrase of, if you ask a girl's body count and she tells you a number, multiply it by 3, because they'll never tell you the truth. Why? Because they understand that it lowers their value. So obviously a girl can easily go up. Like, a girl can go into a room that has like 10 guys and she just says, who wants to do the thing with me? 99% of those guys are going to be like, yeah, let's do it, right? But then that's the opposite for guys. So that alone, before we start talking about is it okay, that's a double standard. They like that part of that double standard. They'll never tell you. So that is just oh. And anyways, yeah, girls can easily go up there. And then there are certain guys, like, if it's a high school, there are guys where those are the sports guys, the guys who do all that stuff. Then if it's in a grown-up environment, it's going to be guys like like the ones that make a lot of money. For example, those that have a very good job, stable, and all that. Oh, these guys have an easier time with girls, and they can actually rack up their body count. And let's not forget that the way that I'll add this to the points that what I'm about, so I'll add it at the end, and then we'll talk about it at the end.
But girl, let's stop playing games. Some people is probably up there.
Yeah, that's true.
When you think
That's
about
true.
it, So do you feel like for women it's just an unfair comparison? When you think about it, if a man is having sex with 10 women, it takes 10 women to have sex.
Yes, yeah. Well, I definitely think we live in a society that encourages men or accepts men's polygamy or accepts that men are able to stray and that women are not, based on this kind of old-fashioned sense about the type, who women are. And I think that...
All right, I'm going to discuss it at the end, but the reason why it's like that is because men and women are different. The things that men are valued for and the things that women are valued for, two different things. So, for example, with a man, you would be valued for your resources. So if you don't have any resources, you're useless as a man. A woman is sometimes valued for her pureness. So if you sleep with a lot of people, you're no longer as pure. All right? And this, okay, yes, you can say that if a man sleeps with a lot of women, there's spirits that come with that, blah blah blah. You can say that, and that sounds sensible on paper, but come on, if I'm being honest, okay, hey, I'm not going to expose myself, but when you deal with a chick, okay, the threshold for, okay, I'm going to discuss this at the end, but just know that the threshold of sex for men and women is different. So that alone should actually help you understand why it's not okay for men and women to do the same thing, especially sexually. It's not, all right? Because number one, you're not going to be able to complement each other, and number two, then why does the difference between us biologically, sexually, and mentally exist if you're just trying to equalize everything? Because just because something is equal doesn't mean it's going to work.
As a society, we condition women to think, some women to think that way as well. So I think that even women that want to be free sexually are ashamed. I actually think the same freedoms given to men should be given to women. And I think that more importantly, people should be asking about responsibility. Like, are you responsible with how you choose to have sexual liaisons? Are you protected? Are you just giving 20 women children and not being able to care for them?
Yeah.
All right, she brings up a very good point. As a man, you should be responsible. I mean, it's nonsensical that a man goes around having like a kid there, a kid over there, a kid over there. Because again, like we said, women want security, men for the most part want variety. So yeah, if you're going to do that, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just giving up the facts and then giving my opinion based on that fact alone. I'm not saying the whole thing is okay or it's not okay. That's all I'm saying. But if a man is going to pursue his variety, but he's make sure he's wrapping it up so that he doesn't spread diseases and he's not, spawning children, then that's fine. Do your thing, man. Because it's not like he's forcing these women to do it. These women are choosing to sleep with him. So, and again, there's this thing about, how, women want men that have a lot of women because that makes them attractive. Having a lot of women makes a man attractive. Having a lot of men makes a woman repulsive. There's a difference. So that difference is very important. And a lot of people don't like to think about that. But yeah, let's go.
I feel like that is the question that people should deal with more than whether you're a HOE or not, and vice versa. Is, are you responsibly taking care of yourself and the other people that you're sleeping with?
Okay, interesting.
We're accepting it, though, as women, right? Because we say that, men are allowed to. Who's allowing them? We are allowing them.
No, I don't agree.
Majority
society is allowing them.
Who's society made up of men and women?
Yes, but traditionally, a man is a hunter-gatherer who's meant to spread his seed.
Yes.
A woman is, I'm talking about traditionally speaking, a woman is meant to be a nurturer.
Whether you're going to say traditionally or not traditionally, it's biology. All right, because if you just lower it to just tradition, you're still making it seem like it was a social construct. It wasn't. All right, I'm just going to talk about it for a second. The reason why men spread their seed all over, it's a survival thing. Because after you've lived out your life, like men usually think about the future and women usually think about the now in terms of survival. So in the future, that's why you can see this in the dating prospects of men. Men look at a lot of attractive, young and fertile women as options because after you've lived out your life, the last line of survival after you're dead is the genes that you're leaving behind. So yes, you want to spread those genes biologically so that you survive into the next generation. All right, and then women, for the most part, tend to think about their own survival. So that's why you see things like society. Society was not built for men. It was built by men, but it wasn't built for men per se. It was mostly built for women because the men wanted to go out and hunt and make sure that their women were safe. So they built society, police, guards, protection, walls. All these things were built in order to protect the women. Because a man can live out his entire life in the wilderness alone and survive to the natural years that the natural years that his body can allow, but women can't because men can overcome a lot of physical threats that usually come with living in the wilderness. Women can't. All right, that's why the differences in ways we express our aggression as men is different. As men and women is different. We express our aggression through physical violence, and then women usually express their aggression through verbal violence. That's why gossip is a thing mostly among women and not men. And then the reason why men tend to talk instead of fight is because there are now consequences that society has introduced. So if a man is not angry to the point where he cannot stop himself from acting through violence, he usually talks because that's all that's left. Because if I fight a guy who pissed me off, he can get me arrested for assault. So that's why men now talk. But then the biology, like social constructs, will never change the rules that were set by biology. That would never happen. That's why a woman wants what she wants. Like if you take a woman of today, she wants what a woman in BC 50,000 or something. These women want the same things. They're just represented differently because of the different societies that they live in. That's the difference. And oh yeah, I know I sound smart right now. I do. Let's go on.
A protector, a homemaker. You know how it's said that women are more naturally monogamous, and there are all these myths around.
Girl, you ain't never met some other girls.
There's lots of.
Well, the reason why women think they should be having, okay, my body count is 1, but still sex. I'm still addicted to sex. The thing is, with women, they have a role, and men. Okay, I forgot the point that I wanted to say. But women and men have different roles, and your role. And you being monogamous, it's not a myth. It's actually something that is that's actually talked about in your biology. But let's move on because I'm now running out of time.
It's around how men are supposed to act and how women are supposed to act. So I think that also feeds into the whole issue and why some women feel they have to kind of hide or in some cases, lie about their body.
I'm not gonna lie though, like in situations where I've had conversations with guys, who I've been interested in with about their numbers, for some reason I don't judge them as harsh as
I judge. I can't lie. Numbers though. Here's my thing: is I'm just
the reason why you don't judge them. Because automatically knowing that he can bag chicks makes him attractive, right? I mean, here's another difference. A lot of men, 80% to 90% of men would be like, yeah, I would like to marry a virgin. But no woman would say that out loud and say, I want to marry a virgin as well. Like, they might say it because women use words to express reality, use words to define reality, which means that they're not talking about reality, they're talking about what they want to be the reality. Sure, they might say that they want a virgin, but that's not the case, because they want someone who's better than them, who has more experience than them, who makes more money than them, who has more knowledge than them, who's more confident than them, and that also applies to the bedroom. So how are you going to be experienced if you're a virgin? All right, so that's another talking point that is basically just a lie. It's not a myth, and that's why you never judge your ex-boyfriends. It's because it's attractive that way, subconsciously. It's not like something that's happening in your conscious mind. It's happening at the back of your head where your programming is. Your code responded to, like, your code's response is like, yeah, he slept with a lot of women, that's attractive, I'm gonna bag him. And then at the top of your head, you're like, wow, why am I not judging him? I don't know. That's the case. That's what's happening.
It's like, it's none of your business. You weren't there then, you're here now. Right now it's the two of us. Unless these numbers are happening during you, it's none of your business.
This is something that girls who belong to the streets say, because they know if I start asking those questions, I'm diminishing your chance with me. So she belongs to the streets. She's here. Because I'm going to talk about this later, but yeah, I'll talk about this later, but she belongs to the streets if she doesn't want to tell you your body count. And anyways, whatever number she tells you, multiply it by 3.
You're watching Moments Girls Talk, and today on...
And then the higher the number, the most likely that she's being honest, but still multiply it by 3 just to be safe.
So we are talking about double standards. So before the break, Vimba, you were saying something. You were saying maybe if somebody was going through some sort of depression or incident and they use sex, essentially to ease them through that.
The way some people become alcoholics, the way, it doesn't make me a bad person. I was just going through a bad time.
Oh my God, this is the sneakiest way of making an excuse I've ever seen. All right, sure. What happened to you is not your fault, but what you choose to do as a response to what happened to you is your fault. So if what you're doing makes you a bad person, you are a bad person. Don't blame whatever happened to you because you're choosing to do these things. So if a man is not willing to marry you or is judging you based on your body count because you did it at a time where you were depressed, you chose to do it, not the problem that did that to you. Whatever that, like, let's say you were mugged and then you lost everything, you lost all your money, then you decide to be a hoe as a reason. Nah, I'm not going to be like, oh damn, that person who stole from you. No, I'm like, you chose to be that as a response, so that's your fault. She belonged to the streets. I think she belonged to the streets. I think the streets are still calling. She's trying to be like, no, not now. Look at her face. Eesh.
I don't think it would make you a bad, you, the general you, not you, the person.
No. I always delete.
The person.
As far as I'm concerned.
Oh my God.
If we have interactions and then you and I are no longer on good terms together, it never happens.
Really? So if you see the person out, you just be like, I know this person.
Did you hear that? This chick is sleek. Like, you see, girls use language as their way of dealing with adversity. You see what she just said? Let me just go back. Did you hear what she just said?
You, the general you, not you, the person.
No. I always delete.
The person.
As far as I'm concerned.
Oh my God.
If we have interactions and then you and I are no longer on good terms together, it never happens.
Really?
Okay, so imagine with this mentality, all right? Because remember, women can get sex way easier than men. With this mentality, think about it like this. Like, just take it like this. Think about it like this, all right? She's going to be like, she slept with one guy. They don't count anymore, they don't matter, she forgets, so then it goes back to 0. So if she sleeps with 10 guys, that basically means that if they're no longer in good terms, because obviously if you're breaking up, the terms are no longer good, they don't exist. Dude, she can have a body count of 100 and still use that rhetoric. You see what women do? That's why we say don't listen to women for dating advice, and don't listen to women. I'm not saying all women think like this or all women do this, but the thing is, the way she's acting is rooted in her biology of saying she uses words to try to change reality. All right, so that's the thing. Nah, don't listen to this.
So if you see the person out, you just be like, I don't know this person.
You know when Mariah Carey was like, I don't know her.
Yeah. Essentially.
I mean, I would still question if that person was like only just bang, 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 straight if they were okay mentally, not because of anything other than, you know, if you're aligning it with alcoholism, then, you
Do
know,
we have issues? What's going to happen in the future?
what are you trying to...
But you know, aside from body counts, I think generally we as women have experienced a lot of double standards. And I mean, we all know like there's a huge movement going on with, you know, equal pay and the inability for someone to be doing the exact same work as you to have been there longer.
I'm just going to say this about the equal pay thing. The reason why equal pay is actually difficult, it's not just a gender thing. I mean, come on. If I'm sitting in an office, if I'm sharing an office with 3 people and we're doing the same work, how do you measure that? You can't measure, okay, there's a car coming in, it's going to make noise. But how do you measure equal work? You can't measure that. So if you cannot measure that, how can you stand there and say things like, I want to be paid the same? There's no way of actually measuring. Consider, like, you're definitely saying there's a difference between this work and the other work. So you can't be paid the same because you can't even tell what is the same in this scenario. So that, what I just said, debunks the whole pay gap thing.
Even sometimes, and as a woman, you're still getting paid.
I think in an African context, especially, women are looked upon, especially if you're single and you don't have kids. I've done jobs where someone will say to me, well, I'm paying you less because at the end of the day, you're a small girl. Are you married? No, do you have children?
All right, it's now getting into the pay gap thing. So now let's end it there. So I'm just going to let you look at these lovely ladies over here. If I change my mind, I'll maybe look for something else to put on the screen. But anyway, so the points that I have with everything that they said. So when we're talking about the body count thing, the reason why there's a double standard due to the body count thing, and the reason why men judge women with a high body count is simple. Men and women are different. So let me use one example. So one point that I have written on my phone over here is women get pregnant if they act as men. Women can get pregnant. So if they act as men, it puts both genders in a position where they will both suffer. So think about it like this. In the modern world, right? If I decide to sleep around and do all these things as a man, I can wrap up, I can do all these things. And if I'm a bad person, even if I have a kid with a woman, do you know what happens? Since the kid can be completely confirmed off rip that it's yours since you gave birth to it, I can just disappear. So I'm not saying I would do that. I'm saying that a lot of, like, some men do that in those situations. But the point basically is that you are the one who goes through all that situation. And then once you've done that, once you're now a single mom, you're going to want to date still. You still want to be protected. You still want a male figure in your life, right? And for your kid as well. What you're going to do, you're going to now force another man to have to deal with that. So you see, both genders are suffering. So if you sleep with too many men, one day you're going to get pregnant. So why not just not do it mostly? Then another reason why you being promiscuous as a woman, back is still on this point, is I as a man, I wouldn't want my woman to sleep around, because if she's sleeping around, that means that, like, the less she's going to be able to bond with me as a partner. And then when that happens, I can't ensure paternity with you. All right? So in those situations, it makes things very, very difficult to deal with. And then it makes a lot of noise. So you shouldn't, as a woman, sleeping around doesn't help you at all. It helps the dudes, because remember, dudes want variety. So the more variety I have and you're allowing me to have it, I benefit. All I have to do is just wrap up my D, and then I'm not going to get anyone pregnant. Then I benefit. It's not benefiting you. You're going to be damaged from it. You are going to be the one. Like, there are things that men do and only men do for a reason. It's because women in general cannot handle a lot of things that men have to handle. If a man doesn't perform financially, he's thrown to the streets, for example. Women, how many homeless women have you seen compared to men? All right. Now the next point is women want double standards to be dropped, but not the ones that benefit them, and they don't want the disadvantages that the double standards of the opposite sex that they want. So the first part of this point is basically this. The double standards that men and women have, they exist because we're different. But then the thing is, with women, they want them to drop. They want to be able to sleep with a lot of men, right? But then they don't want the judgment. They don't want the negatives that come with it. I'm not going to marry a woman who's slept with more than 3 people. So that means I might not get married. And I'm okay with it. That's fine. I can just go out, sleep around, and then just find a surrogate, give me a baby. I'm joking. Yeah, I'm joking. My parents see this. I'm kidding. But I'm just saying, some men can think like that, right? Because as a man, you can handle it. A woman can't handle that same thing. So that's why society was built as it. The reason why women are able to say the things that they're saying right now is because as much as they don't need protection from a spouse anymore directly, they don't need a man's protection directly, because if their spouse doesn't want to protect them, they can call the police. All right. But the thing is, there's still that thing called loneliness. Women will suffer more from loneliness than men, because again, men are built to survive things like that. Women aren't. All right. And then the next point was They don't want to drop their double standards. If you look at women when going to parties, certain parties women go in for free, men have to pay. If they're saying let's drop the double standards, then they should pay for parties. They will complain, all right? For example, they want to be paid equally, right? But then they're not working the same amount of hours, which means that in order to be paid equally, you need to work the same amount of hours. They don't want to do that. So you see, this double standard thing is just women complaining that we're not getting the favors that we want, all right? And then the last point is that with the dating thing, back to the dating thing, women, I don't know if women know this, but the way that dating is today, women made it like that, not men. Because remember, the natural order of operations when it comes to dating is a man sees an attractive woman, he wants to sleep with her, and then in order to sleep with her, she must get something in return. And in the past, a woman would get commitment for the sex she's giving away, and then after getting that commitment, she gives away her box, right? So that was the order of operations in the past. But then the order in the present hasn't changed. It's still the same. But then the difference is now, what changed is how the relationship is granted to the woman. Kudara, you would marry a woman knowing that she's a virgin. So you'd offer her that security, knowing that at least you were at a certain extent, you're getting a woman who's not damaged and all that, so there's a high chance that your marriage would last and it would be fruitful. But then in our days, since women are now free, since women basically opened up the gates for certain type of men to get the box, so then them giving away their box for free to certain men because they want to be liberated, they want to do whatever they want with their body, that means that the amount of payment that a man has to pay now in terms of attention and all that to get sex these days, if you're a certain level men, you don't have to pay a high price, but other men pay that high price. And then when they pay that high price, sorry, that's wrong, I said that wrong. I'm saying that when you're a woman and you're trying to give away, you're trying to be sexually free, you're going to be choosing those men at the top, and then those men at the top, they're paying a less, maybe not the men at the top, but the bad boys, they're really confident, the ones that the women usually get trapped with. Those guys pay next to nothing to get that box. And by pay, I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about the investment that they need to put in. But then after they've been used up, they want men to then pay a higher price for that, which doesn't work. So that's why the order then ended up changing, because the men are just responding to how the women are setting the market. So now it's, I see an attractive girl, I actually have to sleep with her first to see what she's all about, and so that I have that post-nut clarity and be like, okay, what is she bringing to the table? If she's not bringing anything to the table, I just keep on smashing if I still feel like I need to get my nut off her completely, and then if I'm done with it, I just move on. Or because that's how girls get dropped. So yeah, these are my thoughts on the whole double standards thing. Girls just complain. There's nothing to complain about. Girls, you chose this, you wanted it, now you have it. You said you wanted to be sexually liberated, now you're liberated, now you're complaining about the body count thing. Like, where does your complaining end? You can never stop a woman from complaining about anything. They're going to complain about everything. So it's better for what a lot of men do, ignore those complaints. We don't care. So yeah, anyways, this is Frosty. I'm done. Now you can comment because you're done with the video, long video. So yeah, this is Frosty, and I'm out.